Last night, my wife and I watched a movie called It's Already Tomorrow in Hong Kong. It's funny, I had that movie, I think, in our Netflix queue for over a year, and now we're doing that month trial with Amazon, and we watched on there. We were like, let's watch a short movie that would be interesting. So we watched the movie. And when it came on, I noticed that the main two leads in there, that the male protagonist, Greenberg being the last name, I thought, oh, okay, so this guy's Jewish. I noticed things like that. And sure enough, it didn't take long into the movie where it was brought up for the fact that he is a Jewish American living in Hong Kong. And so that comes up through parts of the movie. Well, there's this one part where they go to a fortune teller. And he says, okay, yeah, you can tell me my fortune. So the man, who I guess was Chinese, holds his face, looks at him really closely, and says, you have a big nose. You make a lot of money. By 40, you make a lot of money. You have a big nose. So if you watch the movie, you'll see that part. And yes, he's Jewish in real life and he played a Jewish American. But this concept that people would perceive people with big noses in a certain way. Now, the guy's nose wasn't big. It wasn't any bigger than mine. And of course, as all you know, there's undeniably Sephardic Jewish background on my mother's side. But it's interesting because for me, like, if this is a big nose, and people have told me throughout my life that I have a big nose. I remember specifically, I was working in a black community on a mission trip with my church in high school. And even then, multiple children there told me, black children told me, you have a big nose. Your nose sticks out of your face, is the way they phrase it. And I've heard from many times, even from Asian students when I was a teacher there, you have a very straight nose. It's the perfect triangle. So people perceive, I'm not saying I have the biggest nose, but I have a prominent enough nose. And so I just wonder, and I've made videos about this before, about just the concept of what it means to be perceived as having a big nose. I made a video where I said I actually perceive that people who have large noses, men or women, I see them as attractive. I think having a big nose, a prominent nose, is an attractive feature. And I actually think having a small nose is not. And it's funny because on The Office, Dwight Schrute on there, there's this one episode where he's like, physically, I'm perfect in every way, except for my nose. My nose is way too small. So that's just my perception. Larger noses make for an attractive trait. But specifically, is there any, even if it seems coincidental, is there any truth in that fact, not the fact, in the concept that people who have large noses end up being more likely to make more money? Now, for myself, I can say that as I am pushing 40, I've never made this much money in my life. Now, please don't think that I only do YouTube channels for a living. I run 2 YouTube channels, which made me thousands of dollars last year, but that was just icing on the cake. I run 5 different side hustles, and I make a great living doing what I do at my job in an office. And then my wife makes even more money than I do based on her job alone. So is that coincidental? Is there something about the fact that people with large noses that somehow affects the way that they're perceived and how they perceive themselves? Or is it just complete coincidence? Is it just a scene in a movie that was meant not to be taken seriously at all? This concept that a big nose leads to you making more money? Or is it just a line in a movie? Tell me more about it right here in the comments.